So welcome to our the third conference we've run, and it's delighted to say that it's the Mates in Construction and the Mates in Mining conference. Up until now, it's been Mates in Construction, and we now have Mates in Mining. So the program is growing, so we're delighted about that. Welcome to people from all over the place. We have every state and territory represented in Australia, and also our sister state, New Zealand, so that is great. We have a number of people who have sponsored the program today. Mates in Construction and Mates in Mining are both charities, and to run something like this takes a great deal of sponsorship. So we'll hear from our sponsors during the day, but I do want to just acknowledge them up front. Our major sponsor is Cbus, and we really appreciate the support of Cbus. This is, I think, the third conference they've sponsored, and have also been supporting us in other ways, and we really appreciate their presence, and we thank Chris and his team, and Chris will say a few words to us later. We thank Hutchison Builders, who are the keynote sponsor, ProBuild, who are sponsoring the lunch, Grocon, who are the closing session sponsors. Centre Group, today is being streamed live, and Centre Group have sponsored that, and they've also are stopping their sites at 10 o'clock when we interview Gus and Keith, and having a barbecue on site. So it's a way of getting the industry really involved right across. So thanks, Centre Group. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. DATS, who have sponsored Keith, who's going to be here, and also the network drinks, which were going to be on the deck. We will see. Living Works, we've had a partnership with Living Works since the very beginning, and we continue to grow in our partnership with them and their programs. And they've sponsored one of the concurrent sessions, but they've also sponsored a number of people to come. People with lived experience or connectors or assist, they've done that, and so have Robson Civil. So I really appreciate that. Not only have they sponsored the conference, but they've sponsored people to attend, which is a great way of looking at it. We thank Fulton Hogan, who are also a concurrent session sponsor. Justin Gage and myself spoke the night before last to the young engineers, and that was also sponsored by Fulton Hogan. So they're obviously keen to sponsor stuff around the mental health and support, and that's great stuff. And last but certainly not least, the National Fire Industry, Wayne and his crew. Wayne has been with us at the National Fire Industry since day one. So the early stuff we did was with the National Fire Industry and with the Plumbers Union, and it was tremendous to have them here. We also have people who have paid a high price to be at tables, and we'd like to thank people for that. We've got a number of unions, the ETU, the CFMEU, we've got a number of companies, Lend-Lease, I can see Mirvac, John Holland, I saw AMCA there somewhere, Downer. There's a number of tables, and you'll see their names up on little place tags, and we really appreciate that you've done that. Total Construction is one of our Tier 1 sponsors. So the people who have done that, we really appreciate. Once again, without your support and you coming along, events like this don't happen. We are live streaming, which means that that the event, even though there's 300 of us in this room, there are thousands who are watching across Australia. And the message that we're trying to spread is that there's stuff we need to be doing to stop the tragedy that's happening in Australia with people taking their lives. Leaves the road toll for dead. And we need to do something. And the doing something, there isn't a silver bullet, there isn't one way. But what we do know is when we start to gather people and raise awareness, we start to make a significant difference. And so I really appreciate that you're here, because you're now part of that conversation. So thank you. We have, there's a term, and I must admit I've always struggled with this term, called lived experience, because in my mind all experiences are lived. But it means that there's a group of people who are here who have been impacted by suicide in their life. And And a number of them are learning to tell their story in a way that does no harm to the people they're telling it to and no harm to themselves. And because it's in telling the stories that people understand that the statistics are just aggregate numbers with the tears washed away. The real stuff is the stories. The stories of how people have been impacted and what that's done in their communities. And so we have a number of people who are doing what they call speakers panel training at the moment down in Manly who are here with us, and appreciate that. It's great. And we also have a number of people who have been through that, and some of them will speak during the conference. We're going to talk about suicide today, and for some people that's very close to home. And sometimes we turn up at functions like this and we're good when we come in, and then someone speaks and they just rip open the doors of our heart. And tears flow and the stomach starts to turn and all sorts of things. If you find that you're struggling with the topic, or you need a breath of fresh air, or you want to talk to someone, if you go to the reception desk and just say, I'd like to talk to someone, there's a number of mates in construction staff who are available to help you. And they'll just take you somewhere quiet, take your wallet off you and just listen to you. We also have a number of connectors and assist people. Those people have got badges on, connectors and assist. Can you just stand up so we can see you? Should be a few of you standing around. These are the real champions of the programs. These are the people who really make a difference. So give them a clap. Well done. We've had contact from SBS, the Insight program. How many people have seen the Insight program before? I don't need to explain what it is. Marvellous. They're doing a program on mental illness in the workplace, about do you disclose, how do you support people, all those sort of things. And they're looking for employers or unions who have something to say about it, or examples or proactive strategies and whatever. And during the breaks, they will be at the Mates in Construction, Mates in Mining booth, and there's a lady there called Alex who's interested to talk to you. So if you feel that need to be on TV on Insight, this could be your opening. If not, avoid her. I guess the other thing to say is that there's lots of strategies, lots of stuff that we hear around suicide prevention and whatever. But for Mates in Construction, we knew from the early days that we didn't need to provide more help. Australia's a great place. We've got help coming out our ears. Lots of helping agencies. The difficulty was we weren't getting to them. And so what we encouraged people to do was actually to talk to the people they worked with, to their mates, to make that connection. And so it would be a great pity if we were here and the only people we ever spoke to were the people on our table. So can I get you to stand up? I'm going to give you 1 minute to do this. If you hand out a business card, I'll get Chrissy to throw you out. I just want you to say hello to as many people close to you as possible. Shake hands, touch them appropriately, and just tell them your first name.
Stand up there all alone.
You're a good man. Okay, and let's take our seats. Thank you for that, and I hope it doesn't stop there. You know, one of the things I encourage you to do is to have that 10 seconds of courage and introduce yourself to a stranger, or pop up. You've got name tags, so you know, use people's names. You know, when you use someone's name, they feel like they belong. So look for people, look at their name tags. I've typed them as big as I could. It took me ages, but use people's names if you can. It makes a real difference. We have booths out here, so people who have wares on display of one shape, form or another. And in your bags there's a little, like a passport. If you go to those and they'll sign it, at the end of the day there's a lucky sponsors draw. And I'm ineligible, which really upsets me, because the prize is a beautiful bottle of single malt scotch. And one of the things that happens to you when you're over 40 is your palate changes and single malt becomes very attractive. So if you're over 40, I make certain you get around to all of them and get it filled in. The live streaming, for those people who are interested, is on Facebook. And if you're a Twitterer, the hashtag is hashtag MHC17. So we might ask Brian Seidler, who's the chair of Mates in Construction Australia, to come and do an official welcome.
Thanks very much, John. On behalf of the National Board of Mates in Construction, it's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this workplace mental health conference. As you would be aware, Mates in Construction provides support through a program of suicide awareness and prevention, as well as other initiatives for building workers and now mining workers who may have or who have mental health problems. And Mates is a very unique program it's specifically aimed at the construction and mining sectors and creates a general awareness and subsequent support for those in need. It's also unique because it's a collaboration of industry parties, specifically unions, employees and employers, a very unique position to have. Today's program or conference theme is about leadership in the workplace and mental health and suicide prevention area. We have a very impressive list of speakers today, so I hope you get something out of the conference. Thank you to the sponsors, and thank you again for all supporting this most worthwhile issue. Thanks very much. Thanks, John.
In the absence of Uncle Chicka, and he may well arrive, but can I just acknowledge our Aboriginal brothers and sisters, their elders past, present and emerging. We're on Gadigal country here, and we honour the Gadigal people, and we remember that this is Aboriginal land. Always was, still is and always will be, and we acknowledge their presence. I'd like to ask Chris Lockwood from Cbus, is our major sponsor and great supporter, to come and say a few words.
Thanks for that, John. You might have noticed as I got up here, I've been silly enough to actually strain my Achilles tendon in recent days, so you have to excuse me if I'm a bit slow moving around the room today. But of course, as I hobbled out the front door yesterday from home, my kids were none too delicate in actually highlighting my injury and my hair that's more salt than pepper these days. And they wanted to point out the abundant evidence of my progression through the years. But then as I called my kids this morning, and I looked out of the vista of the sun rising over the city, and it was a pretty grey affair, as you can see this morning, nothing particularly exciting. I was reminded again that as every day starts afresh, it presents us with an opportunity to improve on what we've done before. And to me, that's why we're here today, to take the opportunity to do things better. To do things better in supporting mental health outcomes at work for the construction workers of our industry. Because suicide and poor mental health is a genuine issue for our industry. CBUS, we're the fund for the construction industry, and most people know that are in the room today. But one thing that most people don't realise is that though CBUS is the largest life insurer for Australian construction workers, we specifically support workers and their families in times of need. We know what suicide means for our industry. That's when our staff are actually on site with the workers, staff that are actually here today. They'll be there in the homes supporting families when the worst actually does happen with their insurance and other needs. And too often we actually see the tragedy of suicide affect our members, their families and their workplaces. That's why many years ago we started working together with the industry to see what we can actually do better. And that's why we're proud to support the much needed work of mates and other valued partners, both here in New South Wales but also around the country. CBUS is committed to working with everyone here today to deliver better outcomes for our industry, your members, your staff, for you, the industry. We know that working together we can make a difference. So congratulations to all of you for actually being here today. That's the best start. And look forward to hearing what we can in terms of learning the best practice to promote what can actually make a genuine difference for our industry. Have a great day and enjoy the rain as best it is.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, CBUS, again. When we were looking at a theme, the first conference, our theme was on, is suicide a workplace health and safety issue? And I think we've travelled a fair way. That was 3 or 4 years ago to say actually it is. Our next theme was mental health in the workplace. Does anyone care? And I think that we've travelled a little bit from there too now. And this one was about how do we lead the way in terms of mental health in the workplace? How do we actually make a real difference? And there's been a lot written on leadership. I can remember many years ago when I was doing study into leadership, you go into a bookstore and you'd hardly find anything on leadership. You really had to go to a university library or somewhere like that. Now there's a whole section on leadership, so many books written on leadership. And I'd like to look at leadership in a different way, that sometimes leadership is overrated, that there's a different way to look at what we're doing in terms of mental health in the workplace. I hope as you listen to the talks over the next, over the day, you start to think about, where do I fit in that analogy? You don't want to push analogies too far, but there's some lessons there for us, isn't it? In terms of how do we start a movement? Who do we follow? So let's think about that as we go. I'm really pleased that Uncle Chicka has made it. Uncle Chicka is a really respected elder, a Sydney elder, the Gadigal people. He's director of the Aboriginal Medical Service. He's a fabulous artist, and his art's all around. It's a really talented sculptor. And he's a life member of the Redfern All Blacks. So can you please welcome Uncle Chicka to give us a welcome to country.
Yes, good, thank you. Yeah, sorry I'm late, folks. I was down at the other Dalton house. Starting on curry time today, yeah. Folks, my name is Charles Madden, but known around the inner city of Sydney as Chicka. That's a nickname that I got many, many years ago, going to Redfern Public School, which is now NCIE, the National Centre for Indigenous Excellence. Folks, I'm from Gadigal land, Aboriginal land. That's the land we're on at the moment. For many, many years, I've lived and worked around the city of Sydney. Folks, I've worked on some of the major constructions in the city, on the Gladesville Bridge, the Tarban Creek Bridge, the Eastern Suburbs Railway, Qantas House. It's been a great time in my life. And for many, many years, I've been involved with different Aboriginal organisations. I've been a director with the Aboriginal Medical Service at Redfern for over 40 years. Also a director with the Redfern Aboriginal Housing Company, Aboriginal Hostels Australia, and the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, where I am still a very active member. I've got to mention it, folks, yes, a life member of the Redfern All Blacks Rugby League Football Club. Folks, for many, many years I've lived and worked around the city of Sydney. I'd like to take this opportunity this morning to extend a warm and sincere welcome to any of my Aboriginal brothers and sisters, non-Aboriginal brothers and sisters who may have travelled here onto Gadigal land. If we have any brothers and sisters from the Torres Strait or further afar across the seas, welcome. Welcome to Gadigal land. The Gadigal clan is one of 29 that makes up the Eora Nation. The Eora Nation is bordered by 3 distinctive landmarks. We have the Hawkesbury River to the north, Nepean to the west, and the Georges River to the south. Those 3 rivers form the boundaries of the Eora Nation. Folks, if you've travelled across this great city of ours today, the state or this great country, or from afar, welcome. Welcome to Gadigal land. Enjoy your stay. Have a safe and trouble-free trip home. Once again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Enjoy the day. Thank you.